How's it going, guys? My name is Frank and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing our Bitcoin monthly analysis for the month of July. It's just now August 1st. We're about an hour and a half into the August monthly candle. So we're going to be taking a look at basically Bitcoin, Ethereum, Crow, a couple of different cryptocurrencies, and seeing how July's turned things out, whether everything is still in play, and what is potentially to come in the month of August and further into the future. So let's start off here with the real big picture, basically, which is the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, which we have on screen. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now the black lines, they indicate the Bitcoin halvings. So each of these is the Bitcoin halvings, and the one that is to come as projected in about April of 2024. So if we take a look at things, so far Bitcoin has continued to follow its 4-year cycle. You can see that we had our green period of 11 bars, and we had about 13 bars down, and we're now just starting our accumulation zone, basically. And what happens in the accumulation zone? Let's take a look back at the previous ones for context. Basically, after the red period, which is our down period, which, as we said, lasts about 13, 14, or 12 bars in this case. So once that occurs, we go down, and then we have about 24 months of accumulation. And at the end of that accumulation period, we break out into new all-time highs. So you can see from bottom to new all-time highs, or the previous all-time high, which we can see back here, is about 24 months. Same thing again here. From the bottom to the new all-time high is about 24 months, and then we break out into the parabolic stage of the Bitcoin market, basically. So where are we currently in that? Well, we're about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're about 7, 8 months in. So we've still got about 12, 14 months remaining. And basically in that period of time, what we expect to happen is eventually, slowly but surely, we will get to our price target of the previous all-time high. So from here until about December 2024, that gives us our 24-month period, we're expecting about 136% return. So that's pretty good. Now, how we get there, though, that's the other question, because you can see here, there's a lot of different ways we can get there. We could basically, in this case, we basically just bottomed, and then we just ran up. We had a little bit of contention around the bottom here, a little fake out, but overall, it was generally speaking just an uptrend, and we just went up and up and up. Now, if we have a look at the previous cycle, so this one did have COVID during it. You can see the big COVID candle of doom, basically. But in this case, we had a big run up, and then a big slowdown period, and then a big run up into the end of the 24-month period. So you can see that there's different ways this can occur. There's different ways we can, get through the 24-month period. It's just the result is the same. It's just how we get there is going to differ. So what we can expect is basically we continue in a linear line, basically, until here, and then we might go parabolic. That's one option. But I would say, personally, that we've kind of overshot a little bit earlier. We've kind of just overshot a little bit, and what we're going to see here is just a little bit of stagnation. You can see here we're in a bit of a range right now. And then after this range, that's when we go in and we can finally, get parabolic into the 11-bar period, is what we're expecting to see, basically, because we're about, what do we say, 7 out of 24 months in, roughly, and we're almost at the halfway point, if that makes sense. This line here, the line through the middle of the blue range, that's the halfway point. So we're kind of a little bit ahead of schedule. So what we could expect is a little bit of a slowdown over the coming months, which we've kind of started to see. You can see that since about April, we haven't really moved that much. We're still in the same price range. So we could expect a bit of a slowdown. As we said here, in this case where it only took, 4 or 5 months to reach the halfway point, we had to have a slowdown. We were way ahead of schedule. Bitcoin had to slow down, reaccumulate, make sure, because, the markets don't really like big, crazy moves. They'd rather just slow and steady and make sure everything's intact. So a big slowdown afterwards. Comparative to the previous cycle where we had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bars, 11, 12 bars to get to that halfway point, which is perfect. That's why this move is a lot more only up, if that makes sense, because we went up nice and slow. It didn't happen too quick, and then we could just continue going up and up. So what are we saying here? Is that we're a little bit ahead of schedule, just a little bit, only a few months. So what we can expect based off this analysis is sideways trend. We're going to just continue traveling sideways for a little bit. And, whatever happens in the interim, it doesn't matter too much. So long as we're not breaking major lows, we'll have a look at where those major lows sit later in the video. But as long as, we can kind of maintain decent structure, it'll be all good. And eventually we'll come out on the other end looking at this dollar sign. I put a dollar, a stack of money at the end, right? Because that's what we're all here for, right? The big stack of money at the end, and then even into the parabolic stage of the market. Okay, so let's take a little bit of a closer look now at Bitcoin. So we're off the monthly chart, and we're now onto the weekly chart. You can see we've got our little magic floating money here. That's just taken straight. This is in the same spot as this one. It's about on the December. It's at about 69k. So that's where we're looking at reaching. We need to hit this target somehow. Now, in the interim, what is Bitcoin looking like on a weekly chart? Well, you can see here, I did a Twitter post on this. Where is it? We're basically 28k is a big support area for Bitcoin. Is basically what I was saying. So you can see a lot of congestion where we basically, when we can hold this 28k range, we're pumping pretty high. If we can hold this 28k range, we're pumping pretty high. But when we break down, we really broke down. And now we had a little bit of a fake out, a little bleed out, and now we're back above it. And we're looking if we can hold this range of support. So it is pretty important here, if we are to continue in our uptrend towards the big dollar bill that we were talking about, that we can hold this. Now, it doesn't matter how we hold it, really. It doesn't matter if it's just doing this. As long as we hold it, we can go along and reach that range. But if we were to potentially break down of these lows and continue lower, it's going to mean a long build up. And then it's really going to be a late push if we're still in the opinion of, like, if we're still thinking that we're going to hit our dollar bill by December 2024, following the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. If we're going to continue that, it's going to be a big build up and then a steep run up. So it kind of depends what we're looking at here, right? So either it's going to be perhaps we just stay above and then we go, or we really break down. It's going to be long and then it's going to get steep, very, like, in terms of going vertical. So vertically steep very quick. Price is going to have to accumulate very quick afterwards once we find a nice base. Whether that happens or not, which way it goes, we can't be 100% sure, but we have to be prepared for both ways, right? That if we do hold above this, even if we do hold above this, right, it's not going to be, life-changing money. We're not in the life-changing money zone yet. Even if we hold above and we pump up, chances are we're going to have to slow down again because, as we said, we're ahead of schedule. It's probably going to bleed out, and then it'll go up. So whichever way you look at this, whether price holds, whether price breaks down, if we're still of the belief that we're going to hit this dollar bill according to our 4-year cycle, whichever way Bitcoin price goes, there's going to be a long period of nothing. And that's kind of the worrying part. Are people ready for a long period of nothing with Bitcoin? Because it's going to happen soon, I think. So we just have to be ready. But how long will this period last? Let's take a look now at the daily chart. So what we're looking at now on the daily chart is basically how long these moves can take, or the short-term, pullbacks can take until we see that definitive move in the Bitcoin market. So what are we talking about when it comes to a definitive move in the Bitcoin market is what we're looking at in the weekly chart, where either we break down of that 28k zone, maybe we just hold it, maybe we, can hold it and shoot up a lot higher. We're looking for something definitive in the market to let us know what's coming next. how long do we have to wait until we see that move is what we're kind of looking at here, where basically we've got the red zone, which is the boring, nothing's happening, price is just going sideways. And then we have these short, definitive moves, the green periods, which we can see, where the price kind of just goes crazy. So we can see that, and this works both ways. You can see that we have this boring zone, drop down, boring zone, drop down. But we're really only looking at it in the the upswings. So you can see here that we got about 60 bars of nothing. Now that's 60 days. Then we have about 13 bars up, 48 bars of nothing, 12 bars up, 85 bars of nothing, almost 3 months of just nothing, 8 bars up, and now we're into this next one. So I've just put 60 days because, that seems to be somewhere around the middle, right? So it could be longer. It could be, if we want to drag this out to 80, if we want to bring it down into the 40s, it could be really soon. But what we're basically looking at is that somewhere in this range of about 40 to about 80, we're going to see a definitive move in Bitcoin. That's going to basically tell us what's to come next. So if we have a look more at price of where we fall to, every time we've come pretty close to that 50% range. So you can see here that we pump up, we get our definitive move, and then we come back down about 50% of that, definitive move. Same thing again, about 50%, roughly, just a little bit short. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be exact. We're just looking at rough numbers here. So the same thing again, from the bottom to the top of the definitive move, 50% takes us to about, 28.133. So 28.2, let's just say. So what we're expecting is, if things continue previous to the other pump ups, is that we're just going to see, a whole lot of nothing for a little bit longer. Maybe we just travel down a little bit longer, down to around this 50% level, and then we can either have a big break up where we shoot higher again, have one of these green periods, or maybe we break down a little bit into these lower ranges. We're not really sure yet. We're still waiting to see. It could take a lot longer. As we said, we're not 100% sure. It could take us up to, the 80 bar period, September of this year, that we could really be waiting until we see something of what we're calling definitive, right? So patience is key here. There's a lot longer to go. Okay, so let's take a look at ETH now quickly. So I don't really look at ETH too much because ETH and Bitcoin, they tend to do the same thing, just a little bit different. They're the same but different, if you could put it that way. It's kind of in an extremely similar spot to Bitcoin, but in reverse, where we've got this point of contention that we're looking at here, which is about the $1,900 range. Except in this case, where Bitcoin is above it and looking to hold that range, ETH is just a little bit below and struggling to break above. So what we're really just looking at here, if we can continue in these uptrends, it could take a lot longer. We could come down, touch this trend line again, and then break up. Either way, depending on what happens, we're kind of just waiting to see yet again a definitive move. If we can break out, you can see if we break out here, I think the next point is basically the 50% level. This is $0 to the all-time high, and it also happens to come in line with this, a little bit of congestion here, that we could break out nice. It's going to be heavily dependent on what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin can break out, that's the problem with ETH, I think, a little bit, is that it's always just, what's Bitcoin doing? We're doing the same thing, just a little bit different. Otherwise, if we break down, it could be a long accumulation period. Hopefully, so long as we don't break some major lows, it could be okay. But really, what we want to just see here, what the goal is really, is just if we can just break above, find some support above this line, and then we can look at hitting our 50% level. That's basically the goal for Ethereum right now. Now, if we have a look at Crow and what we've been looking at with Crow, so if we go back to my Twitter, what I've basically been saying here with Crow is that this could be a really, really good accumulation zone, an accumulation pattern forming. You can see I made this tweet a little while ago, June 19th. Just after we broke down, I was saying, is this the ST zone which you can see on the Wyckoff accumulation pattern, that basically the ST can be the bottom, the very, very bottom, before we, continue grinding sideways basically. And that's basically what I'm asking here. Is this what we're looking at, a Wyckoff accumulation? And so far, it's been so good. So there's where I made that tweet. And you can see so far, we've just continued to kind of make higher and higher lows, which is great. This is what we're looking for. When we're coming out of this, we just need to hold these lows. We're not looking for anything crazy right now. So long as the lows around here, you can see this low just around here. So long as this can hold, I think we should be all sweet. If we come down, test it, all good, we can then shoot off higher. What we really don't want to see though is breaking down of lows. If this low breaks or this low down here breaks, it's all over. Reset, hit the reset button basically. But so far, so good for Crow. Of course, there's a lot more to do. This is a very, as I said in the tweet, if I can go back to it, this is the optimistic outlook for Crow. It is absolutely the optimistic outlook for Crow. This is assuming that we just continue to see higher and higher prices, and that eventually we can start, making some higher lows on the monthly time frame. That's going to be the real difficulty. You can see here on the monthly, we're only just really starting to go up. If we can see some nice higher lows on the monthly, we could be all set for the next bull market with Crow. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. Hopefully this kind of cleared up a little bit of my thoughts on the market, where we're heading. The real big thing here to me is this 4-year cycle. Is this going to hold, withstand basically the test of time, the 4-year cycle? Can we see that dollar bill come December 2024? That's going to be the question. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll leave the link for my Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it now in the description. I also do have some referral codes for some different exchanges and Koinly for your crypto taxes. So feel free to use those. If you have any questions, make sure to comment them down below and I can give my thoughts or help you guys out with anything. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.